It's a great pleasure to introduce Mark Hughes to our podcast today.
He didn't think I was a very good manager. I don't think he was great as a player, to be perfectly honest, given what he was producing for me. Marcus Rashford, outstanding talent, ball at his feet, taking people on, one of the best in the Premier League. But without the ball, probably one of the worst at the moment.
Apparently Pep has said he'd like to have a round of golf with you.
Oh, right.
Would you have a round of golf with him?
I'd love to.
Is there a managerial job that you almost took that nobody knows about? Apparently, there's a football rumour that's going around that when you were QPR manager, Joey Barton squared up to you and tried to goad you into fighting him. Is that true? Welcome to another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. And we usually film on a Wednesday, but we're filming on a Monday today. And it's lovely to start off my week seeing you, Sam. How are you?
Yes, I'm happy to be here as always, like you mean. So the podcast is something I look forward to every week when I get the opportunity. So yeah, great to be here as always.
As always, thank you. And would you like to introduce your guest for today?
Yes, our guest today, our special guest today, goes back. We go back a long way. Not only did we play against each other, but also we used to compete in the dugout against each other as well. Like I mean, so it's a great pleasure to introduce Mark Hughes to our podcast today, Mark, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Okay, good seeing you, Sam. Nice to be here, Nat. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I haven't done too many of these, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, we're nice and friendly. We just have a chat.
Yeah,
yes.
Sounds like.
Yes, and a laugh, and we
it goes where it goes.
Yes.
Yeah. Sam can't keep to a script, Mark. For
all right,
reason,
so you go from a tangent,
I sort of diversify rather too much, like me. But yeah, it'll be good. I'm sure it will.
Yeah, you look forward to it.
So Sam says that you go back a long way. What is your earliest memories of Sam?
I'm not too sure of the initial one.
I think it's trying to kick him at Old Trafford, but it didn't work. That's for sure, like I mean. But yeah,
I used to try and keep away from the big lads like Sam, you see. So because it was a little bit different when we were playing. So there was an unwritten rule that the first 20 minutes it was just a free for all. Like
yeah. Big
centre ass like Sam had 3 goes at me, and then I had 3 goes back, and then the referee would say, "Right, you've had you go at each other now the game can break out, you know." So yeah, we had those moments on the touchline. Many times we came up against each other, and yeah, it was always nice. After the game, irrespective of the result, win, lose, or draw, we always used to have a beer afterwards. That to a certain extent has gone out of the game a little bit, but
and it used to be a good beer too. It didn't just last 20 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is the odd occasion I've sent the coach off and stayed that little bit longer, like you mean. So just to talk about, you know, what we all used to do, like you mean, which was you know, part of the unwritten rule. I think I've talked about before, but doesn't happen an awful lot now. But
doesn't seem to. No.
It was good.
Yeah,
very good.
Did you even sit and have a beer with him that time when... Oh, in fact, did you sit and have a beer with him that time that he slide tackled you on the touchline?
Yes. Yes, he was always very welcoming into his room. So it was good.
Yeah,
good.
He actually saved me at the time because we played I think it was... I was at Man City at the time, and... yeah, fortunately we won the game, so maybe I was a little bit giddy and a bit jumping around there on the sideline, and I walked over maybe a little bit too sharpish to grab Sam's hand to shake after the game, and I slipped because you were parked. There's like an incline, so I slipped on the AstroTurf there, and thankfully Sam grabbed hold of me and didn't fall right on me, flat on my face. So he deserved a beer after that.
I watched a clip of it again last night when I knew you were coming in, and it made me smile.
Yeah, it's a good job I was an athlete.
Yeah. Oh yes. So we always like to start with our guests by just kind of finding out what is going on now. So your last managerial job was Bradford that you left last month or the month in October. So what is life now?
At the moment, I'm just having a break. I enjoyed my time at Bradford. Good club. Expectations were really high there, and we did okay last year. Got to the playoffs, which was the best season they had at League 2 level in this current period. So decent season last year, but Sam will tell you as well that you're at risk as a manager early in the season if you don't set the tone for the rest of the season. Everybody thinks, well, if you have a bad start, that's how the whole season was going to pan out. That's not the case, in fairness. But so in the first 10, 11 games I think I had at the beginning of this season, I think we won 3, lost 3, and had close run draws, and it was deemed not good enough. I think we when I got the sack, I think it was the first time since December I'd lost back-to-back league games, so I thought it was a little bit unfair if I'm honest. But perception was that I needed to go, so there you are. So I've had a couple of weeks off. I'm enjoying it. Just come back from a little bit of sun, which was more than welcome given the weather at the moment. So
you didn't expect that one then?
No, not really.
Not really. You thought you get after last year, you get a bit more time.
I thought so, Sam.
Yeah.
I just thought, so you have to grow a thick skin as
absolutely.
being a manager. And I was thicker than most, to be honest. But listen, you get a little bit of criticism, but it wasn't phasing me. I think it was phasing other people within the club more than me. I was quite a bit ahead just to wait until it turns round.
I watch a lot of league football, a lot of League Two football. I love watching league football because I find it refreshing after watching so much Premier League as well. Will you get back in again? We talk about it with Sam all the time.
Yeah.
Management, do you one day?
He'll get back in. He always does, doesn't he? At some point.
Nobody's had as many as me, by the way. Now.
Do you fancy it again?
Yeah. I don't feel I'm done. I possibly did before the Bradford game, Bradford role actually, because I've been out for three years and it looked like I wouldn't get an opportunity for whatever reason. So, I had the opportunity to go in Bradford. I took it. Probably shocked a few people when I did.
Yeah, I was surprised.
But it was just a case, Sam, of just getting back in, really.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good club, big fan base, and I thought, there's elements that I would recognise given the level I played at and managed before. So, I thought I'd get back in. And I was honest. Well, I didn't. Well, I was a little bit. I kept my own counsel. I thought, I'll go back in. If I don't feel I can give the energy, I haven't got the energy still to keep on doing it, then I'd be honest with them. Within 2-3 weeks, I thought I'd know. So I was going to say, I'll give it 2 or 3 weeks. If I haven't got the energy to do it, I'll be fair to them and say, well, I'm done. You need to get somebody else. But I realised after about 20 minutes of the first game, I thought, I'm back. This is what I've been missing. So, my view is, I'm open for business.
You said last week it just gets in your blood, doesn't it? And you get addicted.
You get addicted, You get that. When you ain't got the tingle, have you? When you get Saturday mornings or whatever the morning before your game, and then obviously sometimes it depends who you're with and where you are. There's a lot of to start with. There's a lot of work to be done. To find out about your players and to find out how they best function, what they're like on and off the field. How do you put together an opportunity for the players to win, and irrespective of what the world's saying, finding a way to make them win. If that can be, as I always say, pretty, if it's the right word, or and play through the lines and play it out from the back, that's fine. If they haven't got that opportunity or you haven't got that player, then find another way. And if you find another way, then you can win and get results that keeps you in a job. Mark just said the only reason he lost his job because he didn't win as many as he thought. Well, the owners thought he should have done to start that season, like you mean. So you bide your time to always make the team better, always make the players better, always buy in or bring in players that make the squad better. And if we do that, you go, just needs a bit of patience, which there's not a lot of now, is there?
It's a good point. I think at League Two level, that's one of the factors that dictates the kind of start that you can make initially, because there's such a turnover of players every single season. The vast majority of them are on 12-month deals. So I think the first year I was there, we changed 17 players. I think last year we tried not to do that, but we still ended up with maybe 10, 12 players different. So you're trying to integrate them initially in that opening period of the season. So it is difficult. There's so much churn that it's difficult to get that continuity that you want.
How many loan players did you have? Did you just have to top up with a few loans?
Yeah, it was always loan players. Yeah, and loan players. It was a toss of a coin, isn't it? So you know what it's like. You can get a good one, and you get a couple at the same time. Then you're going to improve the quality of your group. Other times, those deals don't work for you, and it's not the right player at the right time or the right level. So, yeah, that's the thing you have to deal with.
When you were at Bradford, were you involved in all those decisions? Because we often hear Sam talking about being a coach as opposed to a manager, and how he enjoys being part of everything.
Yeah, that's how I prefer to work, if I'm honest. I think the clubs had more success was when I was closer to the guy that could make the decisions. I think at times now managers get circumvented and people miss out the manager who should be the most important guy in terms of the football team and what's going on the pitch. That gets circumvented if they don't get the player doesn't get the answer, or the agent doesn't get the answer that they want. So you get taken out of the loop. And I think if you've got that connection with the guy that's going to make the key decisions and you're close to him, then that relationship can sustain you. But it seemed to be changes. There's a lot more directors of football. I haven't got a problem with that. I've worked with that as well. But I know which I prefer. Let's put it that way.
I asked Sam last week about the Republic of Ireland job, if he would have a conversation if the phone went. For yourself, obviously, Wales will be very close to your heart. If the opportunity came up, would you fancy that again?
Well, you'd never say no to your country. I've had the pleasure, obviously, of already having done that job, and I probably did it the wrong way around. So people say you're supposed to do it at the end of your career. I did it right at the beginning. It was my first job in football, football management. So
experience, wasn't it?
It was great, Sam. Honestly, for me as a young manager, I think once you go from finishing playing, and actually I was still playing as I got the job, but for me it was great because it was a learning experience. I could obviously get a group of players together, try and organise them for an international game, and then, boom, they were gone for a month. And during that month,
what are you going to do?
In between, I would think, oh goodness me, I was hopeless there. I need to be a hell of a lot better than I was that game for the next one. And for me, it gave me that breathing space just to become better. And I wanted at the role that I had. And I think by the time I'd had 4 years, then I got my first club role at Blackburn. I was ready to go into it rather than going from being a player and then going straight into manager. Yeah. That's when you can have a problem, because in all honesty, you're not ready for the job, in my opinion. You just need to find your way under the radar a little bit, and then know when you're ready to go into club management.
Do you think Wales can get through the playoffs?
They've had a good draw, in fairness, in terms of what they have to overcome. So we're all very, very hopeful. It's a difficult job. It is a difficult job.
There's no Gareth Bale anymore, though.
No, well, and
there's no match winner.
No,
there's no one identified match winner. Gareth Bale was the man that when a game is tight or even when the game's going against you, he would win the game for you off his own ability. You always look for one, and Blackburn. There was a few when I got to Blackburn that played in the team regular, but not that stood out as much until Phil Jones came along. And when Phil Jones came along, it was wow, And John, there was first game in the league, Chelsea at home, 1-1, man of the match, played against Drogba all day. I mean, this is Drogba, at his best, like you mean.
Yeah.
And he just went on from.
I remember when he first broke through, there was comparisons with Duncan Edwards.
That's right, yeah.
And quite panned out like that for whatever reason. But initially, what a player he was at that level, wasn't he? Yeah.
Well, I mean, as soon as the Venki's took over and I lost my job, I rang Sir Alex and said, "Look, you have to be quick to sign him, because it's not going to be you. It's going to be Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. They were all. I mean, he's 19. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he played equally as well in the 3 role in sitting in front of the back, because I had Ryan Nelson and Chris Samba.
Of course you did.
They were 2 stalwarts that you put together for Blackburn, weren't they? I mean, those two, my solicitors, they blocked the door off every game. They were the first two on the team sheet, like you mean, and that always gives the team the opportunity, even though it was struggling to go and win a game, like you mean. So Jonah ended up in a midfield role, and then at the back, and then I
got Chris Samba on a trial. Just I was like, agents come, well, I can bring him in and have a look at him. So if anybody said that, I said, see before you buy, really. So Big Chris came. Apparently he was playing. Where was he at? Was it Hertha Berlin? Somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And all he was doing, like Big Chris Samba, you remember he was about 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah. Big
physical specimen. But Berlin, all they were doing was keeping him on the bench for the last 10 minutes, just in case they needed a goal. So he never played, and he just was throwing on, it's on Big Chris to see if he can head a goal and get an equaliser. So we came over, we organised a practice match so we could see what we got, and within 10 minutes I thought, well, he's certainly better than what I've got. So after 10 minutes, so we signed him. I think it cost about 200, 300 grand.
Yeah.
So for Chris and for us, that was a great deal. Yeah, one of the better ones.
He played up front for me. We were needing some results, and Rocky's knee was, always, lead him out of training, just try and get him on the pitch for the Saturday. Like I mean, Benny had a problem. More with off the field as well as on the field, like you mean, and he wasn't sort of sparking it off. Jason Roberts got injured, so I remember that Chris Samba said somewhere in the canteen after the game or something like that, we're travelling somewhere, I used to play up front, So we shoved him up front. You know what I mean? For about
definitely do a job.
Yeah, do a job like three or four games. Like I mean, I can't remember exactly how many games it was, but I'm seriously now, the centre halves were absolutely terrifying.
I bet that's one of the best parts of the job, finding academy players, but then finding players that you're not expecting to be something that go on, and then discovering they can do other things. I love that. We ask every week our listeners for questions. If you'd ever like to ask a question, you can just find me on Twitter, and you could tweet me a question. Now, our listener Joe Mark has asked you, what was it like being at Manchester City at the time of the takeover, and all of a sudden so many big names being linked with the club? And on that note as well, Berbatov linked with City, was that real?
Oh yeah. We tried to gazump United actually at the time. We actually offered more money. So the reality was that Berbatov didn't want to come to Man City. He wanted to go Man United, and I think there was pictures of him. Fergie was like that, he was going nowhere. So it was never going to happen. We did offer more money from my recollection, but he was never coming to City. He'd made his mind up, and Sir Alex had made sure that he wasn't going to get anywhere near Main Road at the time. So
fair enough, fair enough. All right, so when the takeover happened, and all of a sudden the names that were being linked with, what was it like for you? Was it a surprise? How did it?
Well, the first day was the surprise. I was on a golf course in Sailway, I think it was, wherever it was. Just having a knock with the staff. It was a day off, and I'm getting these phone calls from Gary Cook and everybody involved at the club saying the takeover is happening. They want a key signing to mark the owning of the club. So who do you want? And I go, what do you mean, who do you want? Well, we got all these bids out for every top player in the world, basically. So they were saying, we put all these bids out and we're going to see if any come back. And I think people forget at that time, Man City were a mid-table Premier League club, mid-table to bottom, if we're honest. Well, you know better than most, don't you? So there wasn't that many takers. And then Man City who? It was one of those cases. So we had all these bids out, nothing was happening. And all of a sudden, they had a little nibble from Robinho at Real Madrid, and we thought, right, we'll have to try and make this happen. And the manager at the time was Bernd Schuster, who I played with Barcelona. So I was on the golf course ringing Burn, said, Burn, any danger you'll let him out? And he's umming and ahhing. So it was a crazy day. There was bids going out for Lionel Messi and all sorts.
There were no financial ties then. You spend what you want then, you know what I mean?
It was a crazy day, But we finally got Robinho over the line. So it was a hell of a statement on the day. And the rest is history, I suppose.
There's like a football rumour, I don't know if you've ever heard it, Sam, that Robinho thought he was signing for United.
There's probably a grain of truth in it. I don't think... he certainly didn't recognise me.
Lost in translation, that you see. Lost in translation.
Manchester.
Yeah. He was probably expecting to see Sir Alex at the airport when I went to see him, but it was me instead. So he was probably a bit disappointed, to say the least.
Wow. Wow. I never knew that. Even after all this time, I never knew that was what it was like.
When did Vincent come then? Was that
before?
Company? Before that?
Yeah, he was just before. Yeah. We actually, the club didn't have any money. I think the owner...
That's before the takeover then?
Yeah, Shinawatra went, and I think he had his assets frozen. So there's no money coming in. We couldn't do anything. I think we had to sell Corluka, who was the captain of the club at the time and arguably one of the better players in the group. We had to sell him, and we had to, I think Tottenham signed him for about 10 million, so we had to get another right back, and we ended up, I'd seen Pablo Zabaleta at Espanyol, been out to see him. I was going to get him for Blackburn. I ended up buying him half price for Man City, and what a player he was. That's the situation we're in. And I went to see Vinny over in Germany at the time, and I had to sit in front of him trying to convince him. At the time, I thought he had money with the previous regime, which I didn't. So I probably told him a little white lie, unbeknown to me, that we had all this money, we're going to go places. I just sat in front of Vinny and tried to convince him, and he just got it. He just said, "Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to come and try and be part of something that's going to grow." He wasn't aware that he was going to grow like it did, but he was very much part of everything that happened after. What a fantastic player, and what a great leader of men as well. Fantastic guy.
Most of the Manchester City fans that I know adored your time at the club and very much remember you for bringing in a core amount of the players that went on to win the league. So we always talk of you very fondly, and we always thank you for for bringing in that core, like you say. Vincent.
I brought them in, but the players themselves, they affected what was going to be fantastic times for City. So pleased that I played a small part, but the credit should go to the players, really.
Well, we'll always remember that part, always.
Appreciate it.
Please excuse me, I just want to stop this episode quickly because Big Sam and I just want to say a huge thank you to you for supporting No Tippy Tappy Football, whether you are listening or watching or doing both. Sam and I absolutely love doing this podcast, and we couldn't do it without you. So take a second, please, and subscribe or follow wherever you are watching or listening to us. We're also on Twitter, No Tippy Tappy Football, and we have our own YouTube channel. I know everybody says it, but it really would mean a lot to us, and it means that we can keep getting bigger and better guests the more followers and the more subscribers we have. And then you can go and tell all your mates that you've done Big Sam a favour. So thank you for listening. Another question, listener Carl has said, love the pod, Nat and Big Sam. It's always a good start to get your question read out, that Sam. How did Mark decide that you'd always be in a nice suit on the touchline opposed to the club shop?
All right. I don't know, really. I think we just always wore suits.
Always wore a suit,
yeah. We always wore suits.
Part of the...
Yeah.
It's a part of the... I don't know, part of who are you? What status symbol is the status symbol? Is that you are the man that is in charge to try and help get the results, and across the board, it was follow on from the managers that that were there before, or and have always been there, who always wore a suit and a tie, not just a suit but a suit and a tie, and obviously with the change in football, and I think the fact that the role is head coach gives the suit a little bit less distinguished and to what it used to be. So
yeah, pretty much all my career on the touchline was in a suit. I did temporarily a little bit at Bradford, pretty much because the dressing rooms were about that big. So I'd take my shirt and tie off and think, oh no, just stick it easier in a tracksuit. So it got to the point that I'd wear a suit for some games, and then other games I'd be in a tracksuit. So a lot of discussion before games would be not who I was going to pick, but whether or not I was going to wear a suit or a tracksuit. So yeah, I think Sam's right in terms of you move with the times. I mean, I was really strong on it initially when I first became a manager. I wanted them to travel in suits because I had this view that certainly with the Welsh squad, we had obviously Premier League players and players at League Two. There was a wide band of players and wide band of the league that I was picking from. So my view was that we all needed to be the same because obviously the lads playing at the top level, that's what they were used to. The other lads needed to see that, to aspire to that, and maybe affect their level of performance. So it was all about getting people up to a higher level. So it's all part of it. You use every trick you got if you can.
Love that. Thank you. Now, I want to move on and talk about the first Premier League managerial casualty of the season. It's taken to December.
Is it official now?
Yes, Paul Heckingbottom has left Sheffield United. First of all, well, I mean, obviously they had a horrendous defeat to Burnley over the weekend. What do you make of that, though, Sam?
Well, you can get beat, but you can't keep getting beat by too many. You know, when people out there say, well, you know, it's whether you get beat 1-0, 3-0, 5-0 or 6-0, it's still just 3 points you've lost. It's much worse than that for you as a manager because you're deemed to have lost control. You're deemed to have lost the players. Pundits would tell you, which would really get on your nerves, particularly the ones who've never been there or managed, that we don't know what system he's playing. You know, all that bull BS really drives me up the wall, like you mean, because all managers prepare a system for the team. Nobody lets the team just go out and play on its own anymore.
If it's looking like Chris Wilder will be the replacement at Sheffield United, what do you make of that appointment?
Yeah, it makes sense on a lot of levels. Obviously knows the club and what the level is. You want to get back in, I'm sure, so that'd be key for him. So he's going to be enthusiastic and he's going to give it his all. But it's difficult when managers lose their jobs. You don't want to see it. We've been at the coalface, so to speak, and we know a lot more than people on the outside looking in know, just as a consequence of having the role that we've had. So we understand what it's like, and it's not nice. It's not nice when it happens to you or happens to colleagues that you know do an exceptional job under difficult circumstances.
So, a new manager for Sheffield United, you're suggesting new players to give them a boost
Definitely.
In January. What about a new coach, Sam? Because 2 weeks ago on this podcast, Mark, we had Billy Sharp, and we were kind of reading between the lines when he was talking. He's done all his coaching badges, and he was telling us he wants to become a manager, but he told us he'd love to go back to Sheffield United, but he would never. That he couldn't go back as a player. They don't want him back as a player.
No.
Could you see Chris Wilder bringing Billy Sharp in?
It depends on Chris's relationship with Billy and how good a coach he thinks he is, like you mean, because you need your responsibilities, as Mark will say, I pass responsibility on to my coaches to coach. Well, we all come together and find out what we're doing. Their responsibility is to suggest what sort of session they're doing, and me to say, well, based on who we're playing next week, that's fine. You go ahead and you know go ahead and off you go and get yourself set up and do that work and whatever. You know, can he in his first job as a coach go into that club, and they all know Billy Sharp is a player, and his first session he puts on, the players will suss him out. And they'll go.
Irrespective of what kind of career you had as a player, you have to reinvent yourself as a coach, as a manager.
Yeah.
Players will allow you to go through the door, but once you got your foot in the door, then you've got to prove to them that you can actually help them or enable them to become better. And it doesn't matter what your football career has been prior to that. Once you step over the line, as they say, and you become on part of the management side, then players need to be convinced.
So weekend's football. We're filming this on a Monday, as I mentioned, which means we're not even 24 hours since the Manchester City-Tottenham game.
Yeah.
I'm not over it. I'm not over it. I'm really annoyed.
Don't you blame the referee,
I'm not blaming the referee fully, but what did you make of that decision? Like, Marky played on. And then
it was a bit bizarre, I have to say. I think the reality is if the referee says play on, you play on, and it goes to a conclusion, but then he decided don't play on. So that anomaly, I just don't understand how we came to that thought process. Was he waiting for the assistant referee on the side to put his flag? I have no idea. Really strange decision. You saw from the reaction of the City players that they couldn't believe it either. And it's a huge moment in the game. So it needs clarification. I think Howard will be doing his programme.
Howard's under the cosh already, isn't he, Howard? So
he'll have to explain that one to everybody, I think.
But I mean, this is ironic. Like, I mean, this is not me. I haven't come up with this. I heard this on the radio. Isn't it funny that the opposite of that happens on every offside? So the ball goes through.
Oh, yeah.
He's offside.
And they play
the linesman can't put his flag up.
Yeah.
The play has to continue till its end. Yeah, you score a goal and then he puts his flag up and then it goes to VAR. It's no goal. Or it goes to VAR. Is a goal. Mm. And yet, on this instance, he goes play on, and then he blows his whistle. Why? Yeah. So it's completely against everything they're doing in the game by the fact that anybody gets played over the top and gets in, whether they're offside or not. And we don't like this because tackles go in and
people can get hurt.
You can get hurt, but we have to continue with it, and it continues to the end before something's happened, and you go. So it's the total opposite of what the referees and the linesmen are sort of expecting to happen.
I just think he's tight. And we talk about decision making as a player, but referees are the same.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
they're
late in the game, what was it, 90 odd minutes, 90 past the 90-minute mark, and you get to that point as a player, you make decisions. You think, "What the hell am I doing?" And I think that's
such a brilliant pass as well. Man. I saw that pass earlier, and obviously Jack's run, and you'd have probably fancied 1-on-1 Jack would score.
Yeah, you would.
But I mean, that's
not saying he definitely would have, but I fancied him.
It's not.
It's
not the total excuse for Man City not winning, is it? Really? But
no, a lot of wasted chances for sure.
Yeah.
Given that City have had 3 draws in a row now, and Arsenal are just
cruising
along. Yep. Are you fancying either of you? Do you think Arsenal are favourites now?
Wouldn't go as far as favourites. I think very much they're going to be in the mix after last year. I thought they were exceptional last year. Really enjoyed watching them. They've started in a similar ilk, and they will have learned from last year. Obviously, they petered out towards the end, and big moments where they didn't quite get up to the level they needed to be, and lost key points at a key stage of the season last year. So if they've learned from that, then you suspect that they will go really close again. So they're certainly going to challenge. City will always look at, like Newcastle, where's that going to, the run they're on, where's that going to take them? So, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's why the Premier League is so good, because you've got these top quality sides that are all competitive. And that's why millions around the world watch the Premier League.
We've got one man who will make a huge difference in Declan Rice.
Mm.
Massive player. You know what I mean? So they are better prepared.
Yeah.
And then strength and depth of squad. You know, they've still got a lot of youngsters that make a big contribution in their squad, like you mean. And you know, they step up to the plate and get better, and of course they're putting themselves in a very good position to be there or thereabouts. Whether you can pip Pep. Pep. If you can pip Pep, that's a massive achievement.
Say it 3 times as well.
The thing as well, I think you look at Arsenal, and they don't have a striker that's going to score 20, 25 goals a year, which Man City have, clearly, with Ireland. Jesus, I love the way he plays. I think he's a fantastic player. And he's key to a lot of how the patterns that Arsenal weave. He's very much involved in it with his link-up play. But will the fact that he's a 10 to 15 goal a year striker, will that be the difference? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Are Liverpool going a bit under the radar, do you think?
A little bit. Another good result for them. At Anfield, you expect them to win, in all honesty, but even so, Premier League so strong, any team can cause you a problem. Doesn't matter if you're top, middle, or bottom. If you have a good day in the office against one of the top teams and they're not quite at it, then you can upset them. So they've come through that game against Fulham, and they look back and think, those are the games we need to win, even if we haven't played as well as possibly we're expected to. Winning those types of games when you're into the last throes of the game and you're drawing games that people think you should win, and they're able to just get over the line. That's a huge thing for them, just confidence-wise, that they'll respond to that. So, Liverpool didn't have a great year last year. They were always going to come back strong, and that's what they seem to do. They've made changes. They've lost key players, like I said, Henderson's no longer there, who's a big influence. But they seem like they're back on track. So, watch the Spurs.
One team that definitely is not in the title race.
Oh.
Where are you going with this?
I know where we're going. Where you?
Your former team, Mark, Manchester United. Sorry, I had to get that in there, Sam. But we need to have a good old talk about them, because obviously another really disappointing performance as well as result from them at the weekend. I mean, first of all, and we talked about Man United a lot this season. How do you assess how Erik ten Hag is doing?
Well, from a managerial point of view, I think when he did get the job initially, there was big issues within the club. I think he was well documented about maybe indiscipline, and certain players were ruling the club around, and how it always was in the past with Sir Alex, who was the main man, and everything came from him. So he clearly went in and addressed a number of those issues, and I think he's got credit in the bank because of that. Not an easy situation to go into, a huge club that Man United is. You've got to have a certain strength of character and presence to be able to walk into the dressing room and address that. So he was able to do that, it seemed, from the outside, and results improved. And it was a happier camp. But this year, for whatever reason, it seems to have just maybe slipped back again. How do you go about that? Did you start saying the same things again that resonate with the players? But the players have heard that before, so you need to come up with something different. So I think it's going to be difficult for him this year. I think there's players that have been there probably too long that need to be moved on. But if you're at Man United, you're on a big contract, and the other offers that are coming in because you haven't performed at Man United aren't as good. Don't give you the standard in the game that you think you should have by being a Man United player. Players hang around and stick around and think, oh, I'll stay here. Well, I play for Man United. Well, actually, a lot of them don't. They sit in the stand for Man United and don't affect the game. So there probably needs to be another clear out just to get some new blood in, just like Sam said about sometimes you have to bring players in just to stimulate the group and go from that point. But at the moment, they seem to do okay. They've had a couple of good performances in Europe and against Everton. Looked like maybe that was the corner that they needed to turn. But I thought they were awful against Newcastle. Not to take anything away from Newcastle. Newcastle were excellent on the day. Really had. Didn't matter who you had, they would have put any team under a lot of pressure. But the reaction of the players and what they were able to produce in a game of 90 minutes against a team that's going to be up there challenging, and they want to be challenging at the same level. I just thought the response was really poor. So that needs to be addressed.
When we're thinking about Manchester United and we're talking about the recruitment and how the recruitment's not been spot on, but they also have issues with the players that were there before Ten Hag as well. I just can't, for the life of me, fathom what's going on with Marcus Rashford, because particularly last season, was he 30 plus goals last season? He looked incredible again. I mean, this year, yesterday, Jamie Carragher, I know he's agreed with what he says, well, rarely, but he says he looked like he was lacking effort yesterday. He should be the leader on the pitch, but he looks like he wasn't even putting any effort in.
I don't think the players go out with the intention of not trying. That's a fallacy. That doesn't happen. I think he's maybe slipped back into the mindset that he had
before
to
last season.
Yeah, he seemed,
the season before that.
He didn't look a happy guy, did he?
Yeah.
Yes, and you wondered, well, he had a lot going on, and obviously the pandemic. He was involved with that work outside, fantastic work outside the game, which maybe took something away from him. Maybe he needs to get back to focusing solely on what his role is when he's asked to pull on the shirt of Man United. I just think, I look at United and I just feel that a lot of their problems stem from the wide areas. Old coach of mine, Eric Harrison.
Eric, yeah.
Always used to say, if you're having a bad time
Brilliant.
and the team's struggling, have a look at your wide areas and your wide guys, because if they're not doing their work in an attacking sense, taking people on and creating things,
taking the pressure
or they're not
off.
getting their backsides back and helping out their fullbacks, then you're gonna have a problem. And I look at United now and I look at the wide guys and their response when the ball goes past them, it's not good enough. Lads in the wide areas have to get back. They have to, if they lose possession, got to regain it as quick as they can. I compare them to how Man City react when they lose the ball, chalk and cheese. In comparison, you see Phil Foden might lose a ball on the right-hand side. All of a sudden, he's got it back or he's knocked somebody over with him.
Even Jack Grealish were doing it
Yeah,
last
exactly
season.
right. And that's what they do.
I saw Jack chasing back into his own 18-yard box and tackling the fullback.
I don't remember him doing that.
Never saw that at Villa.
No. So I think that response, outward possession of the ball, I think when they're, listen, Marcus Rashford, outstanding talent, ball at his feet, taking people on, one of the best in the Premier League. But without the ball, probably one of the worst at the moment. So he's got to solve that part out.
We always finish the pod with our not so quick fire questions. So I've got a few here that will not whiz through. So the first one is another listener question. It's come from DJ McCarry, and he'd like to know: is it true that you knew it was going to be your last Manchester City game before the game?
Well, I'd read the signs and it was pretty obvious what it was going to be. I actually was Khaldoon, obviously in charge of Man City. I think
is, isn't he? Still in charge,
done a great job, I have to say, and I've got a lot of time for him. But the reality was he tried to sack me probably on 2 occasions prior to actually doing it for the 3rd time, because
he kept winning. He kept winning, you see.
Yeah, kept on. He'd fly in because he'd think. I remember we were playing Arsenal, and maybe we were struggling with draws. We were getting too many draws. So I think the reality was that Mancini was sitting in probably in a hotel in Aldgate somewhere, just waiting for me to slip up. So we played Arsenal, and we were expected to get beat. And apparently Khaldoon flew in to sack me after the game, but we won 3-0. So he had to fly back. And then 3 weeks later, we were playing Chelsea, expected to lose. Apparently he flew in. This was unbeknown to me. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but I was told after the event. Flew in for the Chelsea game. We won again, 2-1, I think it was, from memory. So we had to fly out again. And then it came to a point we were playing Spurs, and we got beat 3-0 away. So I think Khaldoon made the decision, well, doesn't matter what happens at the weekend, I'm going to make a change. So clearly the press has been briefed, and from Thursday to Saturday morning, it was all in the papers that it was going to be my last game. So I wasn't told officially, but I had a fair idea, let's put it that way. So after the game, we won 3-2, funny enough, against Sunderland. And after the game, I think that's where the question...
Who told you?
Khaldoon. He'd throw,
what, that day?
Yeah, 20 minutes after the game. Yeah.
Called you up in the boardroom?
Yeah. But
One-on-one?
Yeah, which was fine. It was the correct way to do it. So I've got a lot of respect for the man. So he did it in the correct way. But so after the match, I just thought, well, I'll just wave to everybody. That's probably where the question comes from. But I didn't officially know, but I had a fair idea I was going, let's put it that way, even though we won the game.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Can't imagine coming in here knowing that you'd already replaced me, Sam. Crikey, don't ever do that. Apparently, Pep has said about you, have you heard this?
No, what?
He'd like to have a round of golf with you.
Oh, right.
Would you have a round of golf with him?
I'd love to.
He's a good player, Sam.
I know he is, I believe so.
Game,
well, he'd have to put up with me for a while because it's not that great, like you mean. But I'd love to play a round of golf with him. I mean, the story goes way, way back that I tried to sign him for Bolton Wanderers many, many years ago, and met him in Barcelona, and had a great chat with him. I wondered whether he'd actually remember that, when we first come across each other, but he did. Like I mean, and we've always talked, and we've always talked after that. Like I mean, I asked him to, make sure that he helped us as because of his stature in the game. If there's anything he can do for the League Managers Association, and he has, he's obviously a very busy man, but if he's got time to, be a big part of what we're trying to do and make the game better and do everything we possibly can for every manager that's employed in this country, wherever they come from, you know what I mean? And it's a big name to have, on the list, like that he's a member and helps, like I mean. So yeah, and we've always chatted away pretty well, and yeah, I'll have to try and reach out, but I'll have to say it has to be a bit warm. I'm sure he would like it to be a bit warmer because I know when the climates he come from, he feels the cold a little bit as well, like you know what I mean. But I believe he plays in South Manchester somewhere. That I
think he lives in that area.
Yeah. It's not any of the golf courses that one at Stockport way. So he said that a few of the staff and that have played there. A nice course. Yeah, played it. But Pep, if you're listening to me, Pep, whenever I've got as much time as you need, like so whenever you need to pencil that into your heavy schedule.
But you should probably get it in before February, March, Sam, because we know that's when your phone starts going nuts.
Yeah,
so
you never know.
Pep's great company, and I've only ever really been his company immediately after games. But there's this one occasion we went there with Stoke and we got beat 7-2. We got within 3-2 at half time, and I think he made him angry, and De Bruyne took exception to the fact that we got so close to him, and he just showed what a world class player he was, and laid on about 4 goals for them. So so we came in 7-2, and we're all a bit browbeaten, obviously the staff, and I think, right, well, we need a drink, we need to have a chat, and said, so we obviously knew a lot of the staff that were in around the place. I said, I need danger of a drink, because he just say to Pep, you've just been to 7-2, at least you can get us a pint of beer.
Yeah.
So they went to his room, and we talked about this. They don't really do it
after
the game. It's just not done anymore. So he's come out and said, yes, Mark, yeah, no problem, right, come with me. So he drags us to his room, all his family in there. He throws all his family out, including his wife, kids, everybody's friends from Spain and wherever. He chucked them all out, and we're thinking, no, you don't have to do that. That's not what we mean. He said, no, it's football time. So, and we had a beer with him and talked about football and the match, and it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. But they don't quite get that after game drink.
No, I think he's fallen in love with Man City, though, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Well, he's never stayed longer than 3 years before. So
he talks everything about Man City and what club it's. And obviously, he's a big part of what the club has become.
Well, I remember as well, Mark, my friend Robin is a Stoke fan, and he texted me before when he knew that you were coming on. He wanted me to tell you that you're his favourite ever Stoke manager.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. I've just remembered.
Is he in a minority of one?
He was very, very excited when he knew you were coming on today. So yeah,
send him my regards.
I will do. Thank you. Quick fire question: is there a managerial job that you almost took that nobody knows about?
Ooh. I'll be interested in this answer.
I once had an interview for the Liverpool job. I don't think that's well documented.
Wow.
I didn't get it, so it doesn't count, does it? But
who got it? Roy? Or was it after that?
I think Kenny decided he was going to be
come
manager
back.
again. Yeah. Perhaps the choice of candidates wasn't that great, so that's why I didn't get any closer. But yeah, I had to sit down with a couple of people in Liverpool. But yeah,
wow,
there you go. That'd be more a shock than me
that
getting
away.
a Man City job.
Yes. In your opinion, this is a mean one, you know, Mark. This is a mean one, Sam. In your opinion, who is the biggest club that you played for? Bayern, Barca, United, or Chelsea?
Not bad to choose from.
It's a decent list, yeah.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah, it is a difficult one. I mean, listen, United, huge club worldwide. All of them are in this day and age. Chelsea wasn't so much when I was there as a player, but Bayern Munich are like the Man United of Germany anyway, so they're on a par. Maybe Barcelona at a push, only because not only they're a worldwide club, but they represent a country as well in terms of Catalonia, and it's very much intertwined with the politics and the history and the culture of the region.
2 questions left.
All right, go.
Will your former players, Vincent Kompany and Craig Bellamy, be able to keep Burnley up?
I hope so. I've got a lot of time for both those guys. We've already touched on Vinny, what a fantastic guy he is. And I know, having spoke to people that have worked under him, his attention to detail and how much hard work and hours he puts into the role is beyond compare. So I wish him all the success. And he's had, as a rookie manager, so to speak, he's gone in at Burnley, had a huge influence on what they are and the dynamic around the club, and that's credit to him. And Bellis has been part of that. Bellis is a little bit like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. I love the guy. I bought him twice as a manager, and he can be a little bit spiky. I think that's being kind to him, but he's got a real love for football, real need to be involved in football, and his knowledge of football is huge. He was always going on about games in the past and players that even myself would have forgotten. He knew everything about the game. He just had a real love for football and everything about it. So I wish them well. It's going to be tough.
Another football rumour that goes around, these stories that spiral and you don't know if they're true or not. Apparently, there's a football rumour that's going around that when you were QPR manager, Joey Barton squared up to you and tried to goad you into fighting him. Is that true?
Joey Barton.
A few occasions where I felt like punching Joey. And
me too.
Probably the other way.
I felt like punching him at Newcastle as well.
Probably the reverse of that as well. Yeah, we didn't have a great relationship, myself and Joey. He didn't think I was a very good manager. I didn't think he was great as a player, to be perfectly honest, given what he was producing for me. So there was a little bit going on, but I think somebody said that he'd wrote something in the book about it, and I've never read his book. But the situation I think he was talking about was, I don't know, there was some meeting there I wasn't happy with something, and I think it was about the captaincy, and I actually backed him at the time, saying, never mind, I think he got sent off against West Brom or something, and there's a lot of hearsay whether or not he's going to be my captain, and I made a point that I had a lot of captains in the room, potentially, but at the moment, Joey's still going to be the captain. So I went back to my room. And I always knew it was Joey coming to my room because it'd be a big bang. And he thought, oh, right, okay, Joey, and you come, son. And my recollection is that we had a conversation. I wouldn't say it was heated, but I never felt that he was just going to lunge across the desk and clump me once. So I don't know, maybe time muddies your memory of the incident, but I never felt at risk.
Sometimes Joey...
Me being a 50-year-old and Joey being a 30-year-old, I mean, well, he's banking on the odds being in his favour, maybe.
He could have had it.
He might not be happy with himself most of the time, Joey. That was part of his problem. Part of his problem was obviously that he was difficult to... So all of a sudden this explosion would happen and you have no idea
where it's come from, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Thanks for coming.
Okay, my pleasure. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Sam, as always.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Really, really nice to have you here. And as we do with all our guests, we shall follow what comes next.
Watch this space.
Yes, watch this space. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us for another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. I'll be back next week, but you're off on your Ollybobs.
I've got a big Q&A in Dubai, so the sun shines.
You tried to claim it's work, aren't you?
So,
yes.
Yes, I'll be thinking about you in the nice sunny weather. Yeah. So, yeah.
Enjoyed some.
Yes, have fun. Tim will be back with me next week. We'll see you then.